Hi guys, welcome back to my addition to my previous video review on the Blackberry Q10. I'll put the link below for my previous video. Just have a look there for the sort of basic stuff. For this one I'm just going to go straight into the updates that version 10.2 gave us, as well as some updates in terms of my use and how I've enjoyed the phone. So I will not be covering everything because I don't know about all of the stuff that has been changed. I will only cover the stuff that I feel has sort of made an impact on my ability to use the, not my ability, but my sort of usage of the phone. Some general developments since my last Blackberry tutorial 5 months ago. I mean, some things that I've noticed with the phone. For one, they've made the touch keys much more responsive compared to, so let me give you an example of that. If we go into here, I did an example of this, and now it's very easy to sort of touch and get to the right keys quite easily. So that, I think, changed after version 10.1, so that's not necessarily new. What else? Well, there are no more browser issues. I feel that using the browser is quite easy. I don't have any problems using the browser anymore. There are no glitches, there are no problems. It's just really sort of easy to get around using it. And it hasn't crashed on me for a very long time, so I think they've solved all of those problems. You can also now choose the calendar color, which I don't know if you could before, but they switched it to white and then they gave you the option of choosing between black and white. I've also noticed something, which is that the camera is incredibly good when it comes to recording high noise. And an example is sort of firework display that I recorded during the new year. So the camera is really good at recording this sort of stuff. In hindsight, there's also another thing that I wanted to point out, and that is that before I mentioned that hiding icons was something that I preferred in the previous Blackberry. As much as I preferred it, it is now not as required. After a while you get used to the way this phone works, and you're then able to just throw all the irrelevant apps into just 1 or 2 folders and then just leave them there and never touch them. Still a bit annoying, but not as annoying as when you first got the phone. Dealing with bulk messages is not too difficult when you get used to it anymore. I get around 30 to 40 different notifications a day, so it's not that difficult to sort of get used to just highlighting the more important ones and getting around all of that stuff. So it's become very easy to use the phone in that respect. The brightness function has become much more intelligent. So I complained in my previous tutorial about the fact that the Blackberry phone's brightness function is quite rubbish compared to its previous models, but they have really improved it, and I don't have any more problems when I'm in perfect sort of bright sunshine, so that's a good thing. Now for the updates with this new operating system. Well, FM radio, they've added the radio function, which is in the Musics app, and you go into it and you go to your radio right there. You put in the headphones and they work as your antenna. Media volume displays, etc. They've added the media volume keys at the top rather than at the middle, which makes it very easy because it doesn't cover the entire screen. So if you're busy doing something and want to increase the volume of the song you're listening to, it's no longer covering the entire screen, it's just going to be at the top. So that's really good. The device monitor is something that they've developed as well, and it's much more sort of intelligent, and it shows you everything that's happening, which is really good. So you can see exactly what's going on in your phone. The ability to arrange the different hubs in your account, arrange the different accounts in the hub. So you go into hub management and you can move these around. So you can say, oh, I want the BBM one at the top, or I want the text message at the top, and you can save that. The reason why that might be good is because it might be quicker and easier for you to get in and out of the different sort of sub emails and different types of accounts you've attached to the hub, to the Blackberry hub. But another cool function that's new, and that is that you can now pinch out to get all of the sort of messages and sort of pinch in to get only the unread one. They've also added changes to the to the battery icon. So when you charge it now, it gives you sort of a different icon, and it shows you the percentage. I don't see how that is either good or bad. I mean, I guess it's useful, but at the same time, we all know that all of these phones' battery life are quite rubbish, so I don't see the point in just do the difference between adding it just like a bar or having a percentage. The real issue is that they need to get better battery lives into these phones. Another note that I should add on battery life is with LTE enabled, so with 4G as some call it, the phone's battery life is much worse now, obviously, and this is not only to the Blackberry, but this is something that is an issue with all of the Blackberry, with all of the smartphones. But nonetheless, it is quite frustrating. I used to be able to use this phone from 8 AM to 9 PM with one charge, and that includes 1 hour of phone conversations on average, and 10 to 15 minutes Skype, and then day-to-day WhatsApping and replying to emails, etc. Now it lasts me maybe from 8 AM to 6 or 5 PM. So the 4G has sort of drastically reduced the battery life. And now you have the option of deleting from hub and on the server, which means that it deletes it on your server, which is great. This is something that we were waiting for, and we now have it, and I mentioned it in the previous tutorial. Bedside mode has more functions. Sorry, there you go. So clock options, it now gives you more options, so you can put your phone into flight mode when you're in bedside mode. I don't really use it, I don't use bedside mode that much, but I can see how it can be useful to some. You can toggle between emails now, so by clicking next and previous. This is something that we used to have in the Blackberry, and it has now been introduced, which is again great, to sort of make more use of the actual keyboard. You can also, I mean, something that some of you might already know is what you could do before is you could swipe out, scroll up, swipe in. So that's how you could do it before. So you can, let's say you go in, you see you want to go bottom or up, you can do like this and just go back in like that. So that was always the option as well. The white balance can be adjusted now of your display, which is great. I mean, I can see how some might use it. I personally think I don't really need it, but yeah, you can display it, you can change the white balance. I don't think it's shown quite well on this camera, but yeah, you can see the difference there. So it might help people with the way they view their phone, I guess. You can adjust software updates now so that it automatically updates software. But again, that will kill your battery, so you might want to be careful doing that. The quick settings is the sort of the biggest change on this new phone, and these ones can be adjusted. So I've put them up like this because that's how I prefer them. So what they've added is also a torch, which is great. So you don't need a torch app anymore. But yeah, you can go into the settings here and change your quick settings. You can change which ones you have in there, and you can also change the order of them. So you just hold them there and you sort of change around the order. And that is really great, so you can get to things quicker. You can turn on tethering or whatever, you can turn on your hotspots quite easily. Yeah, so that's really, really great. Now for what we're still waiting for with this phone, I'd like to sort of just give some feedback of where we are and what we would still want to see. Just as my previous video, I still would want to see more holster functionality. So the Blackberry case I've stopped using completely because it's pointless now. Other than protecting your phone, it has no other function. But I would like to see this back with Blackberry, where it gives you different settings and options depending on whether you've put the phone into the holster or whether you've taken it out of the holster. Another thing, auto on off or auto restart. Before you could do that, I would still want to see that, so that the phone can sort of refresh itself. It's not nice to know that your phone is always on. So it would be nice to say, okay, at midnight shut my phone down and turn it back on 6 AM. Still a bit of an overheating problem. So as I mentioned in my previous tutorial, if you're left-handed and if you hold your phone sort of like this, if you're holding your phone like this as a right-handed person, you're fine. But if you're holding it like this, you're not as fine. because you can feel this bezel getting very hot. It's better now, but it still gets pretty bad when you play a game on your phone. More functionality for left-handed people, period, would be nice, because you know, it's nice to, as I said in the previous one, be able to scroll this way, because that's naturally how we hold the phone rather than doing this. Currency key. I mean, the funny thing about this is that the settings do tell you with language settings that depending on your language and input settings, the region, this is what it says, the region settings are used to adapt date format, default currency and number format. And I've put it on United Kingdom English, so I would expect the currency button down here to give me Great Britain pounds, but that doesn't actually happen, so I'm just waiting to see when they're actually going to add that. But yeah, it has not been solved yet. Google Maps, this is obviously a last piece of feedback that's sort of unrelated to the phone, but it sucks not to have Google Maps, because I prefer Google Maps from any of the other maps applications. I mean, as good as some people might say the Blackberry Maps is, I don't think it's good. It doesn't point out where underground stations are, it doesn't point out certain key information that you would want to have in sort of a bigger city. So I really would have wanted Google Maps, and what you can see here is I've added it as a sort of hotkey for a shortcut to the web browser of Google Maps, but it's not the same as actually having the app. It runs a bit slower and it's a bit more frustrating, so that's something we would have liked to see. Well, thanks again for viewing this, and I hope you enjoyed these updates for this new phone, or at least this new software actually. Feel free to check into the link below to see my original video on this phone and sort of compare what's happened ever since. Unfortunately, as you may know, the sort of recent updates say that BlackBerry is going to stop doing consumer products, so I don't think we're going to see much more in terms of actual hardware, but maybe the software will get better. At this moment, I'm really happy with the phone. I think it performs what I want it to perform, but to sort of round it up here for you, the advice I would give you is, if you deal with a lot of sort of applications, entertainment, media, etc., I wouldn't go for a BlackBerry. But if you are sort of using a lot of emails, using a lot of this sort of stuff, I still prefer BlackBerry from all the other phones, because it just does it much easier. It's hard to describe, but the BlackBerry literally just does it much more easier to work around and play around with the different settings that help you essentially be productive. So thanks for viewing this.